putting their trust in Republicans when it comes to tackling America's crime crisis. A new ABC poll finds 47% of Americans trust Republicans to handle crime, compared to just 35% trusting Democrats. This following another weekend of violence in New York City, where a man was shot and killed in the middle of the day, just one block from a police station. Hours earlier, another man was stabbed to death inside a Dave & Buster's in Times Square. You look to the left coast, the West Coast, Portland police shutting down its cold case division as the city's homicide rate soars. The police chief reportedly moving more detectives to the active homicide division. Brandon, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very troubling, obviously, first of all. But it's not just the cities either. Unfortunately, you're seeing crime bleed into the suburbs as well. And that's really getting to people's personal security. This election coming up in November is going to be about security, both in terms of physical safety, and that's why the crime rate is really problematic for Democrats, as well as economic security, which is why inflation is a huge problem. So it's a double whammy. It's not surprising at all to see poll numbers trending in the direction that they are. Democrats are in big, big trouble in November. People are scared.
Right, Christian. People don't feel as if the Democrats have their lives and livelihoods and protecting them. They don't feel like that they are standing up for their lives and livelihoods in any way, shape, or form. And I'm quite frankly surprised that 35%, or whatever the poll was, 35% think that the Democrats do a good job.
It shows how the Democrats, how progressives, how wedded to ideology they are. Really, none of these cities, despite the sort of uniform or growing recognition that defund the police was a deep political and tactical mistake, you don't see anyone really turning the page on that on the left. You mentioned Portland. I've been to Portland, Seattle, and San Francisco in the last year. Portland, far and away, out of control, the worst. As soon as you get off the freeway downtown, it's just a mess. And the fact that progressives, how quickly they have made American cities suck again. We had this amazing renaissance beginning around the late 90s with Giuliani, then with Reardon in Los Angeles, where American cities, which were kind of no-go zones for families in the 80s, really beginning in the 60s and 70s, just were turned around. And how quickly that has digressed to where we are now. And the fact that people are turning to the Republican Party, everyone says it's the economy, stupid. Republicans, incidentally, are ahead on the economy. But crime matters. It's, the economy matters until you get stabbed or until your neighbor gets stabbed. This is a big deal, and it's not just a big deal for urban dwellers, but also suburbanites who surround these urban centers. And even if they don't go into the city that often, they might like to once in a while. Right. And these people are very upset at what's happening to their community. Right.
You come to New York City, if you're a visitor from somewhere else in the country, you're probably going to go to Times Square. And that's dangerous. And people aren't safe and they're not protected. Before we go, and also Nancy Pelosi making this trip along with Adam Schiff to Kyiv, to Ukraine. It was an important trip, but certainly anything they do is for appearance's sake as well. And it was clearly to distract from all the horrors that they brought upon this country in terms of, safety and security, financial and actual safety. Look no further than her own district, where San Francisco is an open sewer and parts of it are uninhabitable. Christian, final word.
Yeah, of course, Nancy Pelosi's version over by the ocean is still pretty nice, I imagine. I don't know if you're running a fight, do you really want Nancy Pelosi and her A-team of politicos to show up? Her previous dalliances with politics, remember going and meeting with Bashar Assad, the dictator of Syria. This is when Vogue was running puff pieces about Assad and his wife. So she has, I'd say, a mixed record on foreign policy.
And she had Adam Schiff in tow, who spread more disinformation about Russia than Russia itself. Coming up, President Biden laughs off